Hello, my name is Doreen Ellen Beldotan. I haven't made a video like this in quite a while. I've been chronicling the encroaching electronic surveillance in my hometown, Sfat, in Israel. I'm uploading this as a response to a video that I made some time ago called Targeted Person. It's still continuing. The modalities have increased both in intensity and in number, and I'm adding this as an addendum to that video. But it's mostly for other targeted individuals. I've been watching a number of videos on YouTube that have been made by targeted individuals and people who believe they are targeted individuals. If you are a targeted individual, there's no doubt in your mind about it. It's not a question of thinking that you're being microwaved. The microwaves can actually be picked up. For instance, things like a member of my family came to me and said, I went to a government office today, and when I gave the clerk my name and my identity number and they typed it in, the clerk kind of looked very surprised at the screen and said, "Who's Doreen Dotan?" And my relative said, "A relative of mine. Why do you ask?" And the clerk said, "Well, I don't know. When I typed your name into the computer, the name Doreen Dotan came up flashing on the screen. I've never seen that before." Or things like when my computer crashed and I got my computer fixed and I had to have my internet reset up. I called up my supplier, and we're going through the process of setting up the internet again, and she says to me, "What are all those like funny clicks on your line?" It's the only time I hear things like that is like when people's lines are tapped. Like she couldn't believe a nice little old lady like me was having my another time a relative had their cell phone break down, and they took it to one of these repair people, and when they took the telephone back, we call them telephones here, cell phones, the person who fixed it said to my relative, "What, do you work for the Shabak or something?" And my relative said, "No, why do you ask?" And the man said, "Well, I never saw this before. When I opened up your cell phone, there was like a component built into it, and it was integrated in such a way that if I tried to take it out, I would have had to destroy your cell phone, so I left it in. I'm sorry." And the point is if you're really a target individual, there are very concrete evidences of it and repeating evidences of it. Basically, you're not a targeted individual until someone else has noticed that there's something wrong with you. Don't rely on your own personal subjective experiences, and I'll explain why. This is a survival video for targeted individuals. These are some suggestions that I found have worked for me thus far. Hey, I'm here. I'm still here. The first is never ever think it's about you specifically. I know that's a very strange thing to say to a targeted individual. What do you mean it's not about me specifically? I'm the one who's being run off the road. I'm the one who's being microwaved. I'm the one who's being LRADed. I'm the one whose phone is tapped. I'm the one who... It's still not about you. It is about something that you represent or an obstruction to their overall plan. which is making them do that. It is never ever about you. If you've been targeted because of political activity, it's not about you. It's about what you represent and the trouble that your political activity can cause their grand plan for taking over the world and making it into one big electronic, nanotechnological control grid. So it's not about you. If you've been targeted, for instance, one woman says she was targeted because she was in a rent-controlled apartment and somebody bought the building and she wouldn't vacate. And again, it's not about you. It's about the overall picture that they have in their mind of the overall control that they want, and you are putting a wrench in their works. And so they're targeting you. But it's not because it's you. It's because of what you're targeting, what you're preventing them from doing, excuse me. If you've been targeted because you're giving out information about the social workers and how they go about stealing children and experimenting on children, again, it's not about you specifically, it's because you are getting in the way of their many billions of dollars a year industry. So what's important is, because the evil archy always has their mind trained on their program, they are working for something much bigger than each one of them individually. In order to be able to survive that, you in turn also have to be totally dedicated to something that's much bigger than you. So although it is true that I have been targeted for specific punishment, as somebody has investigated and told me, what's most important is the fact that the city of Tzfat and the state of Israel and the world is being brought under electronic control, and I am being a pain in their ass, and they want to just get me out of the way. It's like, let's say you want to get through a door, okay? You don't care if what's blocking the door that you want to get through is a chair or a carton or a table. You just want to get the object out of the way, and you will use as much force and as many ways of getting it out of the way as you need to get that specific object out of the way. But it's not the specific object that you have a problem with, it's the obstruction. And remember that. So just, you have to, in order to survive this, be on a level of being concerned with something bigger than you. The very thin line between sanity and insanity is when you become ultra dedicated to the targeting because it's hurting other people or because it's hurting you. The minute it becomes all about you, you will cross over the line into paranoia. And I've seen video after video of people, I have to say this, they've crossed the line, and it's really scary, and they're freaked out. They're not handling it well, and they've lost the battle. They lost the battle because they got into, they're targeting me. Look at these videos. You see they're very wound up and tight, and they have no sense of humor about it at all. They can't see the big picture at all. And it's all about them. Those people are going to lose the battle. If you've been targeted because you have acted in a certain way that gets in the, you're gumming up the works of the evil archy in a specific way, you have to keep on doing what you are doing. The things that are being done to you to target you are diversionary tactics, and you cannot let yourself be diverted. It's important to chronicle it, it's important to videotape it, it's important to show the public what's going on, and get the message out there, and that will involve a lot of videotaping. But don't get so wrapped up in the videotaping that You lose a sense of what it was that you started out that got you to be a targeted person in the first place. If you got to be targeted because you were going up against the social workers, keep going up against them. If you got targeted because of your political activity, you keep on doing your political activity. Otherwise, they've won. The third suggestion I'm going to make to survive this, it's kind of contradictory, but it's true. You have got to develop a healthy attitude and a sense of humor. Don't ever lose your humor about anything. Take all of this as a lot of sport, by the way. I mean, I do. I go out there with my video camera. I'm having a great time playing with them. This has to be play. It has to be a game of chess. It has to be a chase. It has to be fun, or else you'll lose it. You'll go off the deep end. Never ever assume that something that you've experienced is the result of targeting unless it has happened to you a couple of times. Don't think that every car that's blocking your path is there to harass you. Sometimes people just block people's paths because they are inconsiderate, because they just want the space. Unless something is and I've seen people in videos write about, wow, I'm being targeted, look at the person standing in front of me online and they're really harassing me, and they weren't harassing that person at all. They were just being a selfish person online. You've really got to be very, very sane, because the game here is a chase after your sanity. And the last thing you need to have a sense of humor about, this is the weirdest thing, but you've got to do it, because although you're not targeted specifically by the evilarchy because you're you, you have been given this experience by God because you are you. And God wants you to learn and to know that you are bigger than anything that this universe can dish out. So you've got to develop a sense of humor and a healthy attitude about dying and about torture. And I know that that sounds extremely peculiar, but you do. So far, dying is a fact of life that has not been scientifically done away with. Just accept that. And torture is a fact of life in our world because there is so much injustice. If you are afraid of dying, if you are afraid of being captured and tortured, you're venturing into waters that are far too deep for you. Don't go there. Really don't go there. If you haven't gotten to a level where you're bigger than anything that they can dish out, that you know you're eternal, and you can go up against that, please stay home and keep the battlefield free for those souls who can. Because the truth of the matter is, you're not any good to yourself, you're not any good to us, and let's keep the boys and the girls off the battlefield and let the big souls do the work. If you are one of the big souls, you know it. Over and out.